We're on. Okay, it is 11:15 and we'll call the Facilities Committee meeting to order. And we'll start with the airport and the physical updates. Wade, do you want to go through that? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. To give you a heads up on what's coming to the airport, there's going to be some things that we need approval on at the board level, and therefore there are some draft documents before you today for consideration. As far as physical changes at the airport, there are going to be a couple that we know of. We know that we need to get a lease agreement in place yesterday, kind of thing, for SkyWest for office space and GSE space. And we know that we're going to need to have a counter replacement to meet United standards. Agenda item A11 is the lease agreement with SkyWest for office space and GSE. Combines a couple of things. You'll recall we passed the rates and charges back in October of 2018. A multiple of the space that they're taking equates to $100 per aircraft turn. In addition, the GSE storage proposal right now is $1,500 a month on a monthly basis, which equates to half of the available storage space for ground handling equipment at the airport. And the other ramps and charges are just, they're the rates and charges that you can see that are in Exhibit C in the document. So what this lease agreement does, it locks those three things in. It allows SkyWest to lease 600 square feet of us from us in the passenger terminal, consistent with the terms of the USDOT order, and requires a 3-month security deposit in the amount of $20,100. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about that.
Has the authorities attorney reviewed this document?
This is our standard lease document that we have for all industrial leases adapted to the airport. So while specifically on this one, no, it is our general form that we use, which has been reviewed. So it's one of those yes and no questions, or yes and no answers, I should say.
As far as, just for reference, Allegiant, they lease similar amounts of space and Cape Air.
Allegiant does not. Allegiant is covered by our low-cost carrier incentive policy. Trigo Dugan is their ground handler. We'll talk about that. It's a separate item on the agenda. And Cape Air, as an essential air service provider, does lease some space from us, but nowhere near this amount. Big picture, this is over, versus what Cape Air leases from us, this is about $250,000 more.
We can ask a question. Is SkyWest going to have an office downtown, you know?
No, they're not. They're airport only.
Airport only, okay.
Any other questions I can answer for you, gentlemen?
You're good? Yeah. So are you looking for approval, is it just one approval, or we need to approve all three of those things in item one?
It is just one resolution to move forward for the board under item 1.1.
So we need to present motions and vote on things, or? I don't know the procedures.
Yeah.
You probably should. There should probably be a motion a second to just to advance it to the board.
Are you ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion if you are. Ready on the second one.
Well, I would move approval of the lease, that we forward the lease agreement in A11 to the full board with a recommendation for approval.
And I will second that.
So motion by Mr. Coffin, second by Mr. King.
And so all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. Okay, so that takes us to 1.2, which is approval of the counter replacement.
One other thing I forgot for discussion, there is in your packet a diagram of the SkyWest space in yellow.
Stephanie, is that use of space by SkyWest at all
controversial or difficult for you to accept?
Well, I got moved, but, if they're paying money, you know, if they're, you know, we're getting income from it, it makes sense on their part, they're all consolidated, and that's good. It tells me that they are planning on staying, to take that much space. And they're not used to such a small terminal building.
Sure.
It is, well, I'll be honest, it is difficult because I'm running back and forth across the airfield all the time, but a little more than I used to be because I was most of the issues are in the terminal.
Yeah. So where is your office?
I'm back, I moved into the FBO building
Yeah.
on the GA side in the security room for right now.
Yeah,
Just add to that, it is inconvenient, and we will need to add some more temporary space going forward for some of the other items on today's agenda, when we talk about that.
noted and understood.
Agenda, the next agenda item is A12, it's approval of a counter replacement. One of the things that comes with United Service is United Standards, and just like, you know, any corporation has their requirements, so does United. United took one look at our counter and said, no, that's not our standard, we need the standard United counter in there. And we have to replace all 4 counter positions, 2 of which are for United, 2 of which are for airports use. The cost on our part of it is $15,000, and the similar amount will be paid by SkyWest and United to replace their portion. And the diagram of the counter replacement is also in the packet. And we will have 4 counter positions there with 3 scales.
You already have quotes on doing that, I'm assuming, right?
We do have the quote on it, but it is not final at this point. That's why we're asking for a cost not to exceed, because that's the number that we're being referred by United and SkyWest.
I think an important thing to think about, I don't want to order or whatever, but when SkyWest, we had discussions with SkyWest, was the fact that they are here on an EAS model, but they also believe that if EAS goes away, they'll work to that, it would be a regular air service provider. So as you build your airport, whatever, it's not just for the 2 years that they're here, you gotta think long range to keep them here, and they'll build the whole product. I mean, so like Stephanie said, you know, that's what you gotta look at. You gotta look at the long range here. So I think you got yourself a great airline, folks. I think you really do.
Now, the existing ticket counters were in place as of October 2016, so we aren't just going to take those out to the dumpster. What we're going to do with those is we're going to look at carving them up and seeing if we can't repurpose them for car rental counters that we'll talk about later on in the agenda today.
Any other questions?
Ready?
Motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
and I'll second that. All those in favor, say aye. Aye, and the motion passes. Item 8.2, marketing, so.
We have approval of an advertising reimbursement through the New York State SOARS grant. John, do you want to pinch hit on that for just a moment, please?
Yep, so this is actually approval for the campaign itself, which will later be reimbursed by the New York State SOARS grant, just to be clear. Grants for $68,750. I've developed an intensive 6-month campaign to market the new SkyWest routes as well as Allegiant. Consists of TV, radio, and online ads in newspapers. Targets the North Country as well as southeastern Ontario, primarily Ottawa. Has ads on CTV, WWNY, PBS, Spectrum TV stations, North Country Now, and the Ottawa Citizen. On the Canadian side, those are Canadian dollars, so we're saving 33% on those bills. Each individual media ads that we buy, those ads will be developed by free from each of those entities, or we might just have like PBS do the ad for TV and use them on all three. We'll see how that works out. It still has to be implemented. This is just the approval process.
I think there's a lot of merit in using the same ads as long as you have enough to not exhaust the.
Right.
Have you priced Spectrum, John, yet?
Yes.
They have some great packages.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're also using a credit here from the radio station. They rent from us and we get a credit, so in the end, it's like a $10,000 campaign for $4,800. By advertising through TV, radio, newspapers, we're reaching a potential audience of like 4 million people, and that's their audience. You know, how many people will see those ads? But certainly it's, it's the first time we've done TV ads, and I think you're gonna get a better response from that than from some of the other forms of advertising. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's geared toward upper income people, 35 plus, in the Ottawa high-tech community. It'll be on CTV News, WWNY News, PBS programming. The ads on Spectrum will be CNN, ESPN, Fox, Spectrum News, Travel, Weather Channel, those types of ads around those stations. And I ran the whole thing by New York State, and it has pre-approval in terms of meeting procurement guidelines and WNBE guidelines.
Just to kind of like to go back up to the highest level for a moment. This is one of the grants. It's actually some leftover money out of a grant program from a few years ago that Senator Lindsay helped us get. So it's going to be an essential part of what we do.
And then I structured it so that, because it was in-house, we're able to actually get $6,800 back for administering.
It's good. Look, it's nicely laid out in here in the packet, at least. Looks like a good plan.
So with your approval, we'd like to move that forward to the full board for approval and then implementation.
Can I add one more thing? You just have to remember that the grant period runs out. So when the grant period runs out, we add $60,000, $70,000 to our airport advertising budget. So just have to be cognizant of that. Either stop it when the grant period runs out, when we spend the $68,000, or you acknowledge a $68,000 increase in your budget for the following year. Does that make sense?
Well, we definitely want to
Tell you
pursue
what
the
I
work.
absorbed from that, Jim.
Yeah.
Which was, what I absorbed was that if we do it this year, then we can't just automatically do it next year without recognizing that we have a 100%
budget increase
Yes.
in
It's a
advertising expenditures.
one-time thing.
Understood.
So, you have a motion?
Yes, I move that we forward this to the board with our recommendation.
Okay, and I would second. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And motion passes.
John, I know you have a client meeting, so let's talk about, if we could, Mr. Chairman, we'll take things out of order. We'll talk about the Tolmar assignment of lease to Arctic OEM.
Absolutely.
John, what can you talk about in public session?
Well, I'll say what I can. Tolmar's in building 11 over there, and they rent, around 7,000 square feet, and their lease runs through June of next year. That was a company I recruited from Ottawa. It's primarily a Canadian defense contractor. I helped them get a customer called Arctic OEM. It's a company I recruited. It became a customer of theirs, and they do manufacturing for them. they've agreed that they'd like to take over the operation. Tomar would like to go back to doing what they're doing in Canada. Arctic is a much bigger, well, I shouldn't talk about the scale of the two companies, I'm not sure exactly, but they're a pretty big subcontractor for a lot of public transportation contracts for rail and bus and those types of things. And so they supply like a Bombardier, for example, in Plattsburgh. So Tomar has asked that the lease be assigned to Arctic OEM. And I run it by Frank, run the resolution by him, but our leases can be assigned with prior approval from the board. And, we're comfortable enough with what the plans are that it seems appropriate, doesn't put us at risk in any way.
Well, the reason why I asked about whether Frank had approved or not over a lease was that I haven't read the lease with the kind of attention to detail that might be revealed in a subordinate clause 3/4 of the way through it. I've read what I understand to be the essence of the agreement, and that all makes perfect sense to me. But I think it would be appropriate for someone, probably our board attorney, to really read these contracts and be comfortable with the very fine lines that sometimes get drawn in leases and things like that. But as far as the essence of the body of what I understand to be going on, it all makes a lot of sense.
That's probably a good discussion at the board level as well, because, I forget sometimes, some of the board members here are new. This lease, the form itself has been reviewed by the previous board and
Yeah.
also by council. And we take that and we change it and we tweak it a little bit
Sure.
based on customer needs. But the decision was made previously that that was the form that we're going with, and that decision, what do you want to say? So it's not standard practice for every lease to be reviewed by council, primarily due to cost issues.
Sure.
We stick with the form, and then if there's something unique in there, and then it's really unique, we'll have Frank review it. If that's the prerogative of the board going forward, we can continue to do that, or we can change the process. But to your point, I think it's worth the discussion at the board level.
I think that would certainly inform me,
Yep.
and I'll bet other board members too.
And that way you can be more comfortable with the documents.
That's right. And I don't want to transfer the authorities' funds to Frank's firm, but I want to be reasonably prudent, and I think that the procedure you outlined makes a lot of sense. As long as what seems unique in any particular agreement is either just a plug into the empty space, or that if there's some discussion, some judgment called for it, that we discuss it.
Thank you.
We do have a motion.
I propose that we forward this to the.
Okay. And I'll second that.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed, none, so motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, sure.
I'd like to jump down to, we've got a couple of different things here. Waiting for the Canadian folks to show up for the approval of the scope of work. As they're not here, can we have a philosophical discussion regarding rental car contracts?
Sounds appropriate.
And again, being on camera, I won't mention specific company names out there, but we need to be fair to the various companies. And in the airport environment, it should be pretty close to the same agreement on each. And I think based on that, I'll be looking for some guidance from the committee and also from the board about what is fair. And that's probably something that we should talk about in executive session, because it deals with specific dollar amounts with specific companies, and you know, that's executive session material. Barring that, though, we have Rhiann McGee and Andre Page from it's our Canadian marketing team is here today. So I'd like to switch back and see if we could talk about the approval of the scope of work. There's two elements to this, one of which is a general session in-camera or on-camera discussion. And then there's some things that specifically relate to their contract or their proposed contract with the authority that I recommend that we go into executive session and discuss. Ann, Andre, welcome.
Thank
We
you.
have
Good
two
morning.
board members here,
Hi.
Chris Coffin and Dave King.
And Chris?
Hi, Chris. How are
Hello
you?
there.
Andre. Brian McGee.
And I'm
Hi,
Dave.
Chris. Nice to meet you.
Pleased
Nice
to
to
meet
meet
you.
you.
Dave.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Guess we can.
Where would you
slip
like
in?
to wait?
Yep, grab a spot at the table wherever's
Okay,
convenient.
perfect.
Fran and Andre were very important today in the Pi Day recognition that we had at the airport. We gave out 314 pieces of pie today on Pi Day to a flight that was coming in and going out to Pi, Tampa St. Pete. So we had some really great customer experiences today. If you wouldn't mind, you want to fill them in on some of the stuff that
Sure.
you
Well-
learned today?
Well, I think it's always fun to do these because you're seeing the traveling public. And most people, when they go into airports, you know, they just want to get to where they're going, and that's, well, not at your airport. Truly, people come in, they're happy, they're checked in quickly, they go through to the holding room, they're greeted with airport people there. There was the treats, the pie, International Pie Day, explaining what it's all about. So by the time they were sitting down and waiting for the flight, you know, they were talking amongst themselves, they were just having a good time. And it was a nice way to kick off their flight. Flight comes in perfectly on time, arrives, people get off. And Andre was doing the people departing off the airline in the baggage area. So I'll let you add your comments on what you saw and heard when people came
Right,
off.
so when the people were coming off the plane, and they're coming off, and it's morning, and they're groggy, and then it's like, it's Pie Day, and the big smiles, and it was just, I think, people feel how warm and welcoming it is, that people are opening the door, that people are talking to them, they were
Yeah.
chatting, they were
Yeah,
asking us
so
where we're from, they said, you're from Canada? Well, I am too, you know, and it was that whole thing, the French Canadians coming through that were able to interact with them. They're like, you speak French? And it's like, well, yeah, of course, you know? So, and I think for the Canadians that are coming through, which is our focus, it's giving them, it's speaking to them at their level and speaking to them a similar type of sense of humor and that sort of thing. We're neighbors, there's a lot of things we share in common. But I think it's that warmth and the welcome that is really appreciated. People like that it's easy. We got told no lineups, and pie.
Yeah.
Pie helped.
The pie, and we actually got a new comment today, which was very nice, and it's in the quote that Wade will be putting in the release. Respectfully treated, and that was a very nice thing to hear.
Yeah.
Right, that was a really, really nice thing to hear. So people are happy, they're happy, and they're getting to the destination, and they're getting to the destination at a great price, and it's working, so good job.
So I've got a question for you.
Yes, absolutely.
What kind of,
It was apple pie.
wow,
Ah, and one of the fellows came in, I think he was from Governor, New York, he came in, he said, can I get pecan with whipped cream? And I said, not this go, maybe Thanksgiving, check back with us at Thanksgiving, we'll let you know. And I said, would you like a shot of brandy for that? Yeah, that'd be good, that'd be good. So this is a type of interaction that we had with everybody, and Andre and I love to do this. I mean, because we engage with all your customers in a different way, but the face-to-face is brilliant. So it was well done today. Any other questions?
I'm sure that adds a nice touch.
It does.
Just a welcoming face.
It does.
Nice.
And you know, you talk to them, where are you going, how long are you gonna be there, you know, this is a lifestyle, it's not a vacation, I'm going for a month, I'm going for a week, I'm going to golf, I'm going to, you know, 1,000 reasons. So you've got a really good, intimate operation going there that people are really enjoying.
And the beauty about interacting with everyone is we're also collecting information
Yes.
and details, so.
Which we
You
then
know,
turn
someone
around.
from Peterborough and someone, you know, a place called Lindsay, and so the more that we're interacting with people, and we do that on the
Yeah.
Canadian side as well, is that, for example, you wanted a quote for your media release. Well, I asked her many more questions than what were required, because we wanna know things from a marketing perspective, how did they hear from us? And so we learned this one woman had an Allegiant Air app, and it was her friend that told her about the fact that this airport existed, and so then she went online. So it's that experience. People have a customer experience, and so that experience is more than just, I need to go to Florida. It's, how did I hear about it? What do I do now? How do I book a plane? What do I, you know, do I go on my mobile device? Do I go on my website? So all of these questions allow us to ensure that we're able to provide for them regardless of how they choose to interact with the airport.
There's also the competitive advantage too, because this particular case came from Peterborough. Now that's closer really to Niagara, that's closer to Niagara, and they've flown out of that airport before. They were trying this today for the first time. So it was perfect timing with what you all did at the airport, and it will be remembered. So that's another competitive advantage, these creative things that you do, is really good. Now, I do realize we're short for time, is that correct? We have about 20 minutes? Is that
Yes,
right?
for a briefing. Well, one of the things I thought that would be helpful for this committee is, again, having some new board members here, is if you could brief us on what it is that you do.
Okay,
And some of the things that you've done for us, and some
Okay.
examples and things, and then we can go into executive session and talk about the specific contractual thing.
do you have that 2-pager, Bonnie? There's a 2-pager.
There's, do you guys have the 2-page document?
It's a 2-pager,
Who came up with the idea for Pi Day?
That was me.
Way to go.
That was a hit. We had a lot of good happy people in there.
I think you have a 2-pager. We don't bring too
Sorry,
many.
we'll get you one.
I need one too.
Could I borrow?
I can
those
use
back?
this.
Here, I have one over here.
I've already read it because I'm printing it.
Yeah.
Did not.
Here, I got another one. Okay, thank you.
We'll get some copies done for you. I apologize.
We've got 3 over here.
You're good? Okay, so I will just go for what I've got here, and then I'll wait for the one to come back. All right, so what do we do, and what type of things will we do going forward? Number one, I think a very key element of any successful marketing promotions campaign is your social media component. And basically, Andre and I do social media management 7 days a week. Now, this is somewhat unheard of. Most other companies, if you engage with a company, an outside company, you'll maybe get 5 days a week, and if there's anything extra, you'll be into overtime, double time, triple time, whatever the rules are, whatever rules there are. We don't operate that way. We have made the commitment between the two of us that we will divide the social media responsibility between us, and we will provide a support element on both sides, 7 days a week. What does that really mean to you? What it means is all your engagements with the public, any Facebook, any person that writes in to Facebook and expresses a comment, something they love, something they're really unhappy with, it's taken care of by us. We do the response. You don't have to worry about it. We take care of it. We keep it at a positive, accurate flow of information. People will want to email in. They will email in with questions. So we have a customer care email section as well. We respond to that. And when the emails come in, typically they're a little more detailed. They want to know specifics about things. Everything from veterans inquiring about how they can take advantage of what do they have to do with the airline to make sure that they can benefit from the services the airline offers, to people looking for lost keys, to people trying to track baggage, all kinds of questions come in. And we had more than 100 of them just in 1 year. We respond to those, but it's not a canned response. It's individual response. We look at the email, we treat it like it's any email, but we respond, and our objective is to have a solution so that they go away and they're feeling good and happy. That's huge. That's a huge amount of our thought time. Our business backgrounds allows us to do that. If there is a situation where there's an inquiry that comes in that we don't know because it's of a corporate nature, we reach out and we get either the various person involved within the organization to respond, and then you run with it. So that's working well. So to put this into some context for you, under social media management, just to give you an idea, Ogdensburg International Airport right now has more than 3,100 followers on Facebook. Now, what does that mean, followers? Followers are people who say, yeah, I like this, but there's a default in Facebook that when someone says they like, they're also, if their default is set, are set up for feeds. So every time we do something organically, we are pushing out information to those 3,100 people. So that is very powerful. So we're always giving people information. We create the post. Wade will have some ideas. He'll say, hey, run with this. We will work it. We promote it. So that's an organic Facebook, and it doesn't cost you. You're not paying for that service per se. We're doing that.
So just to distinguish, is in order for someone to be a page follower, if you go onto someone's Facebook site and you just like a post, that's not a page follower, you just liked a post. That means you've gone onto the page and go, I like Ogdensburg International Airport, I want to be seen in the newsfeed, and I will like the page. By liking the page, that's where we have, it's like signing up for a newsletter. So 3,100, and we earned 900 new followers this past year.
In this past year. And the reason we did that and we got more is because we kept it current. We refreshed a lot of times, like we are always refreshing your Facebook to keep it relevant, timely, that type of thing, and we get more and more engagements. So it's growing, and that number's a very healthy number. That's a good number. So that's one thing, social media management, I just wanted to bring that up. Now the other thing that we do.
Could I just add?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to add something. One of the things with the response time that they do, social media tends to blow out of proportion immediately when something bad happens out there. And, you know, knock on wood, we've not had anything bad happen. We've had some disgruntled customers, for example, that due to the airline's fault, reach out to us, you know, either first or second in the process. The response time through social media is quick. They'll respond. I mean, you'll see the example here. Here's a positive example that's on the screen. While thank you for positive feedback about your service experience at Ogdensburg International. The same thing applies when it's a negative comment on there. The same quality of response, and it's almost instantaneous. I mean, you guys will pick something up within a couple of hours. I'll provide some kind of answer, and I mean, this isn't during the business day. This is like a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon or some random time. And it helps put the fires out at the lowest possible level, if that makes sense. And there's real value to that.
Well, and that was the perfect segue into my next comment, because in this past year, we had some sensitive issues that we all in business had to deal with. It was a tough year this last year for social media in many ways. I mean, we had things like, there was a report on 60 Minutes that they did on Olympics, right? I don't know if you recall that. That was done last spring. Now, granted, recalling, I mean, we all know the nature of the report, but it was on 60 Minutes, so people started questioning, and we were on it right away. We had seen it, we'd seen the document, we strategized a response, got involved with the airport, you know, how do we respond to this accurately and timely, and we did. There was also political sensitivities that went on last year that we all had to be sensitive to in terms of tariffs and backlash from all that type of thing. Well, you know what? We're talking about that. Again, we strategized, we took a low profile, but we responded to all these things, these uncomfortable things in business, I guess would be a good way of putting it. So back to Wade's point, this is the type of thing we're doing on a continual basis. And then, of course, we always have to deal with the Canadian dollar, which is, running at about 75 cents to the US dollar these days. So these are things that, again, when we are thinking of our messaging, we keep all these things into play, and everything we do for you is customized with all these elements in play. Now, I think I deviate here a little bit on the sheets because I'm sorry, the sheets are a little different. The next item is the email account, which I did touch. I touched on that. We respond to them and know that they're all individual. It's not a form letter. They're all individually responded to. Management of advanced media's Facebook and paid search campaigns. Do you see that one next? Okay. Now, when we did Facebook, we were doing that organically, when I just talked a few moments ago. Now, Advanced Media is a company that we are managing and working with on your behalf to put out social media content through Google paid campaigns, through Facebook paid campaigns. This is it's a social media element, but it's a different arm of social media. And when I say we work with them, we provide them all the creative, we provide the messaging, we pull the ads if we feel they're not performing to the satisfaction that they should be. We put up new ones through them, and they are based in Syracuse. And we've worked with them now for the last year, and we've got a great relationship, it's working well, and it's a synergy. So you're getting that as well through Advanced Media.
And I just want to jump in here for a second. The paid advertising, the value of that is you're going after new people. Whereas the organic, you're taking care of the people that are already there. So there's two different audiences. So they're helping to grow the new visitors, and then we're nurturing them once they're with us.
For
I'm
example,
a little confused about the use of the word organic. Help me understand what you mean when you talk about working organic.
okay, we are doing it. We are writing Facebook responses. We are posting, thank you so much, we are posting a visual, a picture. We are monitoring